Let me ask you something. How in the world do you raise almost $1 million in private money when you've never done it before? What do you actually say to someone to trust you with their cash? And where do you find these people? And more importantly, how do you not screw it up? Well, in today's episode, I'm talking with Tim Benskin. He's a real estate investor. He's in my mastermind group, and he's already raised $940,000 in private money. Not theoretical, not someday money, actual wire transfer in the bank money. And here's the thing, Tim's going to break down exactly how he did it, word for word, step by step, no fluff. He'll even walk you through the very first private deal he closed. And wait until you hear this story, what he bought, how much, what went right, what went wrong, and how he made it happen without using a single dollar of his own money. Now, if you want to raise money, this episode is your blueprint. Welcome to the Raising Private Money Show, the only podcast for real estate investors who want to fund their deals without relying on banks or credit or using their own cash. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, and I'll show you how to get private lenders begging to fund your next deal. Because every good deal starts with the money. In just a moment, you're going to meet Tim Benskin right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Tim, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Jay. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here on the show. Now, Tim, let's go back to the very beginning. What was it that made you realize private money was even an option for you?
Well, I come across your book, and so it was just like I was trying to get into real estate investing, but like you said in the beginning there, the money always comes first. Well, back before I met you and got your book, it was like I was trying to do deals and I didn't have the money. So I was always trying to look for money. So it was a blessing that we found your book. It was a blessing we came to one of your live events. And then the rest is kind of history, I guess you would say.
Right. Well, now, Tim, let me ask you this question. Have you ever been to a real estate investing seminar or conference and the instructor or the guru on stage said something to this effect? Have you ever heard him say, "Oh, just get the deal under contract, the money will show up"?
Yeah, those guys are all over the internet.
So let me ask you a question, Tim, from your experience. Why in the world do they say that garbage?
I don't know. I mean, they're trying to sell their programs, and you kind of wonder if they're even in the business. So I mean, it's good to have somebody that's in the business, that's doing deals regularly, that you can have as a mentor and is teaching you. I mean, that's a huge plus.
Yeah. By the way, I love your cap that you're wearing. Your cap says Private Money Teacher. Why are you wearing a cap that says Private Money Teacher?
Because all the money we've raised, it's been pretty much us teaching people. There's no sales involved, and it's all about a one-on-one, relationship you have with people, and you're teaching them. I mean, you're not trying to sell them on anything. You're trying to teach them and help them make money passively.
So about how many private lenders do you and your wife, Robin, have?
Yeah, we have 5 right now.
5 private lenders. So I'm really curious about this. Did any of your private lenders that are funding your real estate deals, did any of them had they ever heard about private money or private lending until you exposed them to it and told them about the private lending opportunity?
Absolutely not. They never heard of it. Everybody that's involved love it because, and a lot of our private lenders, I try to, be the subject matter expert as far as self-directed IRAs, but really a lot of our private money investors right now have had money in savings accounts and stuff like that, and you're only getting 4 to 5%. So, I only have a couple that actually use IRAs right now.
Right. Well, you talk about those people that have investment capital and they were making a little bit of money in the local, bank certificate of deposit. I just checked it 2 weeks ago. Now the average certificate of deposit in a local bank is actually paying less than 3%.
Oh, wow.
And it's coming down. It's coming down fast. Savings accounts have got less than 0.5%. But back to what we were talking about on your private lenders, they never heard about private money until you exposed it to them, and you led with a servant's heart, and you were like teaching them what this world is all about. And then we talked about a second ago going to real estate, conferences, and the coach or the real or the guru on stage is saying, just get the deal in the contract. It just makes so much more sense to me to get the money lined up first, because when you do, when you got that money lined up first from private lenders without, attached to any particular deal, did you find yourself more confident in making all cash offers knowing that you had the money lined up first?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in your mind that you can close on that deal. When you don't have the money first, there's doubt, because you either got to go to a bank, and it's going to take a lot longer to get that deal done. And it might even cost a lot more, with fees and appraisals and all that. Whereas using private money, we're always buying at a good price so that we can create good equity in that house for our private lenders, so they're always protected. So yeah, we've gotten. Well, I had told you at the last time I saw you personally that we have done 12 deals since October of 23. And there's no way I would have done 12 deals since October 2023 if I didn't have the money first.
Well, I certainly understand that. So you got the money lined up first. You're making more offers because you know where the funding's going to actually come from. So if you can think back, Tim, what was the very first thing that you did once you decided to start raising private money?
Well, the first thing we did, we joined your mastermind group and Platinum Plus. So, and the first 3 months of that, we just basically learned what to do. And actually, I got my first private lender, a person that goes to church with us and has been really good friends with us for a long time. And he actually came to a webinar that we did with you. And he decided shortly after that webinar that he was going to become one of our private lenders. And he was our very first private lender.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that first private lender. Let's unpack that story. So, do you remember the conversation, or as close as possible? How did you? So, first of all, let's even back up before that. You just mentioned that you all know each other, you go to church together. You know what's funny about that, Tim? Mine and my wife, Carol Joy, our first private lender was from church that we had known for quite a long time. So the trust factor was already there. The likability, was already there. But take us back to that first conversation that you had with that potential private lender that you went to church with. How did you approach them? How did you start the conversation? Paint that picture for us.
Okay. Well, actually, Bruce is my first private lender, and his wife is actually one of Robin's best friends. So Robin had mentioned it to Jane, his wife, and she had mentioned it to Bruce. And then I believe we went to breakfast one morning and we talked about it. And then shortly after that, we had the webinar scheduled. I invited him to our webinar, and that really opened his eyes big time to the possibilities of what he could do. And he liked what we were doing. And, he just wanted to be a part of it. He wanted to see us grow in our business, and he wanted to see us thrive. So, I mean, he was just all in from the beginning.
Was he, did he end up using liquid investment capital, or did he end up using retirement funds, or what?
He actually used retirement funds. So he was already in a self-directed IRA, and he had used it for other things, different stocks and whatnot, but hadn't done real estate. So he was already set up. So when he was ready to go, he just wired the money to our title company, and away we went.
Wow. Well, that's out of the ordinary right there, that you were talking to a potential private lender already in your network. You go to church together, and they already had a self-directed IRA to where they could use that to be a private lender. So for the sake of our audience, Tim, tell everybody what in the world is a self-directed IRA, and how does that play into this world of private money?
Well, it plays in big time because real estate is probably the number one thing used in self-directed IRAs. So you can be the bank. You can loan people money through your self-directed IRA to buy and purchase real estate. And there's a lot of different things you can do with self-directed. Gold you always hear about, but I think real estate's probably the number one thing. And you can even buy a property within your, following the rules, of course, but you could even buy a property using your self-directed IRA. But there's a lot more rules involved, and you got to try to stay out of trouble with the IRS. So I think the easiest way to go is to be a private lender and be the bank and lend that money to an investor that can use that money to buy property and, create a nice income for yourself going into your IRA without, the possibility of your principal going down or having the stock market go up and down or anything. And what's nice about our program is we don't have any fees. So unlike, having money in a 401k or one of those, stock market type deals, with a financial planner, they're going to charge you fees, and we don't do that.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that over half of my private lenders are actually using their retirement funds that they've moved over to a self-directed IRA company. And what's beautiful about them being a private lender using their retirement funds is they want to be involved in real estate. They like the idea of real estate investing, but they're really not interested in locating deals, negotiating deals, talking to sellers. And then, when renovations are involved, which that's where the biggest profits are, they don't want to deal with general contractors. So being a private lender is just a very easy way for an individual to get involved in real estate investing, but be totally passive, to where all they got to do is just sit back, watch their account grow, and the checks come in. And then you, as the real estate entrepreneur, you do all the work, right?
Yep, that's correct. And actually, Robin and I are both private lenders as well, with friends in our network. So I mean, we're earning that passive income into our IRAs, self-directed IRAs, which is awesome. It's nice to see that check go into that IRA, and watching your money go up and not doing this roller coaster thing.
Well, I'm like you, Tim. I'm a private lender. I'm a real estate investor, and an interesting statistic is over 70% of account holders that have retirement funds in a self-directed IRA company want to lend money out on real estate. And we don't borrow any unsecured money. We always secure that promissory note with the real estate that's being invested. So do you recall, so you mentioned, meeting your friends there for breakfast one morning. Do you remember how you started the conversation, or how you even brought up the topic of private money? Because real estate investors that have never raised private money want to know, well, how do you start the conversation?
Well, it was it was actually pretty easy with him because and at breakfast is when I learned that he already had a self-directed IRA account. I was shocked. At the time, and they always say don't pre-qualify anybody because you never know who's going to be your next private lender. And I was shocked to hear he was already a self-directed IRA and already had it set up. And, so it wasn't really hard with him. I've had other folks that I've had to, explain self-directed and explain a lot more of the program to them. But Bruce picked it up right away, understood it, already understood self-directed IRAs. I think he probably had one for at least a year and a half before I even talked to him about it. So, I mean, it just made it so much easier, and he was open to it from the beginning. So he was really an easy one to have for your first.
Right. Well, let's talk about mindset. New real estate investors or investors that haven't raised capital before, they ask me all the time, well, how do I get started? How do I get started raising capital? And I tell them, I say, well, you got to own the real estate between your ears, which means you've got to have the right mindset. And as you alluded to it, Tim, I don't ask for money. I don't beg. I don't sell. I don't persuade. I don't chase. It's all about leading with a servant's heart. It's all about educating. That's why you got on your cap that says private money teacher. It's all about educating people. Not one of my private lenders ever heard about private money or private lending until I started educating them. And like you, figuratively speaking, put on my teacher hat. So let me ask you this. When you first started talking about the private lending opportunity there at that breakfast, were you fearful in any kind of way? Were you nervous about it? Were you scared in any kind of way? Or what were your feelings on the inside as you were talking to this potential private lender?
Well, when you're first starting out, there's always, you might not have the confidence involved. And we've been doing this since June of 23. So, I mean, I've, through the years have grown in confidence, and so, you always got those nerves going on when you're first doing something, but I've known them for so long that it really made it easy, and, so it was really an easy process with him. Now I've had other people that maybe I didn't know as well. And I'm probably, more of an introvert anyway. So, I got to work up the courage to talk to people, but I think I've gotten a lot better at that since June of 23. And you've helped us out a lot with that, being able to talk to people and be confident. And in the lunch and learns that we do, we haven't talked about that yet, but we usually set up luncheons and do lunch and learns, and you get better with time and you get more confident with time, and the more you do it, the better you get. And that's kind of what happened with us, and there's probably other friends of ours in the group that have probably raised a lot more money in a lot quicker time, but it's not I always look at it, the Taurus always wins the race. It doesn't matter when you get to the finish line. It's just, that you're working to get to the finish line, and you got to kind of go at your own pace and not worry about what other people are doing and just follow your goals.
Well, Tim, I'm so proud of you and Robin. Y'all have been doing this now for a couple of years. You've got, by the end of this week, you and I were talking before the show, and you're probably going to have more than $1 million in private money raised by the end of this week. So let's go back to that first deal.
Sure.
People want to hear the numbers. People want to hear the numbers. They want to, see how you break down the mechanics of a deal. And so let's go back to that very first deal. Do you happen to remember the first real estate deal that you funded using private money?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us about it. Tell us about how you found the deal, the kind of numbers involved, and how important was private money for you to close on that first deal?
Yeah, I mean, without private money, we would have never closed on that deal. For one, we found it it was a pay per lead deal. And I think back then it was Fast Home Offer. And I think they might have changed their name now, but it was back in, I think we closed in February of 24. And so, yeah, it was a serious fixer upper. Somebody had passed away, and the property had gone into some bad repair. Looking at the before and after pictures, I mean, just seeing the before pictures, people would be like, "Oh my goodness, why would anybody buy that house?" But then, look at the after pictures, and how beautiful it is. And it's just right now it's a house that we're proud of. I mean, you can drive by it, and it's one of the nicest houses in that neighborhood now.
I love it. So do you remember what you bought it for?
Yeah, we bought that property for 125,000
Okay.
in Rockford, Illinois, and it's one of the nicer neighborhoods in Rockford, Illinois. And we paid, like I said, 125,000, but it had a huge lot. It was in, the house was built in the late 60s, so it was a ranch style house with a basement. And but yeah, it needed a lot of work, and just looking at the before and after pictures, it's kind of fun.
How much did the rehab? How much did the renovation cost you?
Well, we ended up putting about 80,000 into that house.
Okay, so you bought it for what'd you say you bought it for 125?
125. Yeah, we're
Hey,
all in.
so round figures, you got 200,000, 205,000.
Yeah.
And then did you keep it or did you flip it and sell it?
Well, we were gonna do a lease option to purchase and put somebody in that house, and then we actually Robin was getting her hair done. and,
Hey,
and
business can take place with your hairdresser, right?
right. Yeah. So there was a gal that worked in the same office, and they actually went to our church as well. And Robin knew him from church. And their uncle, I went to high school with, and I'd known him since he in junior high. And so they were looking for a house. They were both in the process of getting a divorce, and they were looking for a house. So it just kind of worked out to where they couldn't find anything big enough. We were kind of in the process of, maybe putting it up, to try to find somebody to lease option it. And they came and looked at the house and they loved it. So they've been renting it ever since, and they do an awesome job taking care of it. And it was just, really made us feel good to help them get them into a nice house, and that they just love it there so much. So
Wow, that's great. So what would you say the value of that house is now?
it's anywhere right now, 250 to 260. Right when we got done with that house, the market actually went down a little bit. And I think it was mostly because of just circumstances in that local area. Right now, Rockford, Illinois is the most affordable market in the United States right now. So I think it had to do with that. It had to do with interest rates. But it's really worked out well for us to buy and hold on that property right now. And Bruce has loved it because he doesn't like to move his money around. He wants to keep it put. So, I mean, he's happy with the money he's got invested in that house, and actually I got a number here. Since he's been on that property, we've paid him $19,592.54 in interest payments since he was a lender on that property.
Well, I guarantee you, Bruce, your private lender, is a whole lot happier with you and Robin paying him that kind of interest in returns versus him putting his money in a certificate of deposit at the local bank.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And it's nice working with a private lender. You find out how they want things and you cater everything to them, which makes them extremely happy, that you can cater everything to them and kind of set up the whole program so it works best for them. And we do that for each one of the private lenders.
Speaking of your private lenders, You take good care of them. You pay them their interest on time. They're earning a whole lot more money than they can earn through any other type of sources, such as in a certificate or deposit at the local bank. What's beautiful about your private lending program and opportunity is, in contrast to the stock market, an individual, they put money in the stock market, the volatility, the value goes up and down. But with your private lenders, Tim, it's just like them putting in money in the bank. They know exactly what their rate of return is going to be, except it's a whole lot more than they would get in the local bank, right?
Right, absolutely. And they don't have to worry about any crazy world events happening that makes the stock market go down. They know they're going to make that amount of money and it's going to go into their account either quarterly, semi-annually, or monthly, however we set them up. And they don't have to worry about it. They just put it on cruise control and they go.
Well, I want to tell everybody that is listening to this episode of Raising Private Money that Tim and his wife, Robin, are some of the most wonderful people that I've ever met. They have high integrity. They do what they say they'll do, and they take care of their private lenders and private investors. So if you happen to be listening to this episode and you're just not happy with the kind of returns that you're getting on wherever you got your money invested, then I highly encourage you to reach out to Tim and talk with him about the possibility of being a private lender and investor in his deals. Tim, what's the best and easiest way for folks that are listening to this episode to reach out to you, Tim?
Well, they can call me on my personal cell. I'd be happy to talk to them. And I think yep, right there it is. And then we also have a one-stop shop web address. There it is, stress-free investing information.info. We have an 8-minute, have a sign up there. They could go through one of our webinars that we recorded. And we do live every now and then, and they can schedule a time for that. And then also there's a link on there for a free book. So we have a book, which is on Amazon, and you can also get it at that web address. And, oh, by the way, yeah, this guy named Jay Connor actually wrote the foreword to it.
There you go, Tim. Now tell everybody, what's the name of your book?
It's called Passive Income Without Tenants and Toilets.
Passive income without tenants and toilets. I love it. So the web address to get a copy of Tim's book is www.stressfreeinvestinginformation.info. You can pick up his book there. You can watch an on-demand webinar about being a private lender. Again, that's www.stressfreeinvestinginformation.info. And this website will be in the show notes. And Tim's actually giving out his personal cell phone number. So Tim's personal cell phone number is area code 608-346-2753. Again, Tim's cell phone number is area code 608-346-2753. That will be in the show notes as well. So again, you're looking to get a higher rate of return safely and securely, either on your investment capital, just liquid funds, and or your retirement funds. Tim is who you want to talk to. Tim, speaking over to real estate investors, one last question before we wrap up. If someone listening wants to raise private money, they're a real estate investor, they want to raise private money for the first time, what's the best advice you can get them to get started right away?
Well, I would go to one of your live events. Very informative. Jay pulls the curtain back on everything, doesn't hold back. It's a 3-day event, and that's where we got started. So, and then also his book, and Jay gives away his book as well. Just pay for shipping and handling, just like we do. And, that's a great way to get started.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that, Tim. Anyone listening that's a wannabe real estate investor, or you're a real estate investor and you want to raise private money, I'll be glad to autograph and send you my book, which you can pick up at www.stressfreeinvestinginformation.info. jayconner.com/book, JAYCONNER.com/book. The name of the book is Where to Get the Money Now. And Tim, you mentioned the live event. I'll actually include 2 tickets to my live event, which is called the Private Money Conference that we put on here right in Eastern North Carolina. Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to join me and to share your journey, to share your experience of raising private money and how you take care of your private lenders so well. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining me.
Well, thank you, Jay, and thanks for your mentorship. It's meant a lot to us personally and business-wise.
Beautiful. There you have it. Another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. And you just heard it from Tim himself as to how he's going about raising private money. And I need your help. You're listening to this show, you've downloaded the episode, or you're listening. I need your help so I can keep bringing back amazing guests here to the show. If you happen to be listening, be sure to like, share, subscribe. You're one conversation away from making a difference in another person's life. Think of one person that this would make an impact on them and share this episode with them. If you happen to be watching or listening on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click that bell so you don't miss out on the upcoming episodes. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jayconner.com/money guide. That's JCONNER.com/money guide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jayconner.com/money guide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.